Kia ora. Welcome to this live stream. Um, in my last live stream, I was asked about some of the strategies that were used during the tournament. I didn't get to do a lot of explanation into those tournaments. However, I um, yeah, I was very general about it, and because of that, um, I I got a lot of comments, a lot of questions, a lot of feedback asking if I could go ahead and actually talk a little bit more in depth about some of the strategies. So here I am in uh, a remote tournament, actually. This remote tournament is for my home country, New Zealand. I've decided to stream this particular matchup for anyone who wants to actually look into the tournament. What I'll do is I'll post in the messages. I should have actually done this on the stream. I apologize, but a bit short on time. So this remote tournament, just explaining, is that there's the link, by the way. This remote tournament is done between a few of us in New Zealand, and what's happening is we set ourselves up for a duration to run a tournament over 2 weeks, actually. The idea being is that that gives everybody enough time to complete their matches. Um, that being said, it means that others can also get their matches because every round in a tournament is scheduled for 2 days. So every 2 days, a round will finish and then we'll begin the second round. So I know that you can't see. Hi there, the real Chatty 2001. Glad you could tune in. Nice to meet you. What I'm going to do is actually show you on my phone the tournament. So here's my opponent for the second round. Actually, we're in round two um, of the tournament. In fact, I might show you the tournament itself. So as you can see, we're in a tournament. There's only 16 opponents, um, and which will run for 4 rounds. As you can see, round one has been completed, and now we're just starting round two. Oh, thank you for the good comments. Loving the energy. Thank you for sending that love. Here you can see that. Yeah, as I was saying, some of the players have already played. So if I go back to my opponent now, um, here we see my opponent. His name is Uncle Mal. He's a local, bit of a local legend here in Hamilton, New Zealand. Um, there are tips for getting to level 40. Pretty much just using lucky eggs all the time. Um, but we're here talking about PvP and answering some of the questions that I've been asked. So in my last live stream, I was asked, excuse me, what is a strategy for beginner PvP players? One of the strategies that I could suggest is known as a pure sweep. So when I first started this tournament, I went in with, you can see my Pokemon down the bottom there, with Venusaur, Girafarig, Lantern, Fortress, Vigoroth, and Noctowl. Oh, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. And thank you for the awesome comments, by the way. So, seeing as how five of those 6 Pokemon, five of those, let me start again. 5 of the 6 Pokemon that I've chosen are fairly meta Pokemon, meaning that they are pretty good in the Jungle Cup. I've decided before the tournament started that I was going to use a pure sweep strategy or play, as some might call it. Some call it a beatdown strategy as well. But moving on, how does this work? Well, when I look at my opponent's Pokemon, I'll need to also configure how those Pokemon are used against my 6. So for those of you who don't know, there is an awesome website called pvpoke.com. If you just type that into your browser, you will find the website. That website again is pvpoke.com. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So those of you who have battled will be familiar with the Jungle Cup setup on pvpoke.com. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change it by hitting the 3 lines at the top, and we're going to hit battle. Now what that does is it gives us a scenario that we can run called a simulation. I'm going to go one step further and change where it says single battle. I'm going to change that to multi-battle. Now what this allows me to do is change all Pokemon on the right hand side to a custom setting, meaning that I can actually add Pokemon that my opponent has. In this case, Venomoth, Ninjast, Alolan Golem, Vigoroth, Heracross, and Manectric. I'll put that up on the screen so that everybody can see. So that is not the website. You want to see his Pokemon right there. So there's Uncle Jamal's Pokemon. Because I set this up ahead of time, I've actually saved it. You can save that as any name you want. I've actually already gone ahead and done that and saved Uncle Miles' lineup. So here we can see Venomoth, Ninjas, Golem, Alolan, Vigoroth, Heracross, and Manectric already saved in there, which is his 16. So now we want to see, again, we're looking at the strategy known as Pure Sweep. We're going to look at how my 6 Pokemon rank against his 6 Pokemon. So we've got my 6 Pokemon there, which are at the bottom of your screen. Yes, it is a very good website. So if I put in the first Pokemon in my team, which is Venusaur, and make sure the moves are correct. Also note that I've got 0 shields for the custom setting and 0 shields for myself as well. So when I run the simulation, it's going to show up at the bottom there underneath the graph, wins 3, loses 2, and draws 1. He's just messaging to say when he's ready. If you are watching Uncle Mal, I apologize for the wait. Moving back to the strategy now, win 3 and loses 2. So, and there is 1 draw, of course. Because the draw doesn't really count, and we're considering 2 losses, the 2 losses actually cancel out 2 of the wins. So therefore, Venusaur ends up with a +1 rating. And we go ahead and do that for the rest of my Pokemon. So we've done Venusaur. Next up is Girafarig on my 6-mon roster. So in my 6-mon roster, I'm going to make sure it's got the same moves and hit the battle. We can see here that it actually has terrible stats. It wins 1 and loses 4 and draws 1. So that means that Girafarig, in comparison to his 6-mon team, is actually a -3. Probably a bad choice when I'm going to play against him. I'm going to actually skip Lantern and go straight into, let's go Fortress. Excuse me. So Fortress comes up, and his moves are the same as mine. We hit battle, and now it's interesting. Now, Fortress has 4 wins, 2 losses, which means an overall rating of +2. So we're thinking about Venusaur. He has a +1. Giraffe Rig, we're not even going to think about. We've got Fortress, who is a +2. Next on the list is Vigoroth. Vigoroth is not how you spell like that. Okay, Vigoroth, with that is my moveset. We hit battle, and there we can see 4 wins, 1 loss, and there's a draw as well. So Vigoroth actually has a +3 rating, quite high. Is it going to be enough to make it into my team of 3? Let's carry on. We've got Noctowl next. So Noctowl's in with, that's my moveset actually. And we're going to hit battle. And here we see it's got 3 wins and 3 losses, which cancel each other out. So it's actually a neutral matchup against his 6 Pokemon. So now that, thank you for the loving the chat there. So now that we know our ratings for 5 of the Pokemon, let's circle back to Lantern. So we now hit Lantern in there with my moveset and hit battle. We see a very intriguing stat. If you can see there, it wins 6, 100%. Now this is key for a pure sweep strategy. Why? Because the idea of a pure sweep strategy is to try and use or get the opponent to use as many shields as possible with my first 2 Pokemon, and then my last Pokemon will beat all 3 of his. So now that we know Lantern has the best matchup against all 6 of his Pokemon, we can use that as our last Pokemon. The question now is, what do we use first? We went through our stats. Fortress has a very good matchup. Vigoroth has a very good matchup. So a positive matchup for me would be Fortress, Vigoroth, and Lantern in the back. The idea, again, is to go for a pure sweep strategy. So I'm not going to use any shields for Fortress. I'm not going to use any shields for Vigoroth. Instead, I'm going to save both of my shields for Lantern for when Lantern comes out. And hopefully use Lantern to sweep all of his Pokemon, if there are any left. So now that's all said and done, I'm now ready to contact my opponent and send him an invite. So bear with me while I message him now. Should I do it on my phone? No, I'll do it on the computer. Let's see if I can find him. Uncle Mal. There he is. So Uncle Mal is, as I said earlier, a local legend. He has done a lot of PvP in my area. My area is Hamilton, New Zealand, by the way. So if you are overseas, welcome to the stream. I hope that you do enjoy what you see, and hope you do hit that subscribe button. I am on YouTube as well, so hopefully you'll be able to see me on there. In fact, I might just go ahead and send him the invite to see if he's actually on. Uncle Mal, there he is. So we're going to hit the battle, and we're going to battle him, which turns out to have failed. So we'll try that again. Uncle Mal, there he is. And battle. Let's battle. Now I do apologize in advance for any problems. He's just, as you might have seen, he's logging in now, so I've sent him the request. I'm going to actually block out my screen just for a moment, just so that I can hide his notifications. I don't want anybody to unintentionally add him onto their Facebook Messenger. So just bear with me while I hide his messages. All right, so we're up now. Again, this is just to show basic level players the one strategy that is used in PvP. Again, we are using the pure sweep strategy. Again, I'm using my Vigoroth, my Fortress, my Lantern in the back. Just to reiterate, I'm not going to shield with my Fortress, my Vigoroth, and I'm going to save both of my shields for Lantern at the end to hopefully get the win. You're level 25 right now. That's awesome. When Pokemon Go first started, that's when I started playing Pokemon Go. Back in those days, it was very arduous to try and get a higher level. With that considered, I was still able to hit level 40 back in the days where there weren't any raids, where there wasn't other events to help increase your levels. Oh, you just started again. I see. Well, in that case, consider yourself fortunate. There are a lot of events that can help you actually progress. Ah, I see. So you stopped at level 24. You know what? There's not a lot of difference. I think once you hit level 30, you're pretty much good from there. I suspect it probably won't take you very long at all to get to level 30 from level 25, just because of the amounts of events that are going on right now. Um, for example, you've got the special research that is out, uh, as well as the daily research tasks. So there's lots of ways that you can actually level up quite quickly in this game now. When I think back to when I was first playing, catching a Pokemon, back when there wasn't a lot to do in terms of trying to get XP. Battling in gyms was pretty much all we had looked forward to. So consider yourself fortunate to be coming back at a time when there is a lot of options open to you in terms of trying to level up. So yeah, it is. It could be said that there is a lot of work to be done, especially when trying to level up. A lot of people are using lucky eggs when they are building up their friendships. Not sure if you knew this, but speaking to just the real Chad right now. Um, okay, he said he's locked in, so we're going to go ahead and locked in now and see how our pure sweep strategy works. So as suspected, we got a bad matchup. So I'm going to go straight to the switch to Vigoroth. Again, I'm not going to use any of my shields. Okay, so he switched into Ninjas, which is a bad matchup for me actually. Um, he did let that go. I do wonder if he's using, or rather watching the stream now. So Aerial Ace is going to do some damage. It won't KO me, but we'll be able to get off this body slam, hoping that he will use a shield. Again, I apologize for any lag. Yes, he does use a shield, which works into our strategy. That I am faced with a lot of lag, just running down the switch clock. And now I'll go back in. So this is a decent matchup for me. According to the Sims, I have a positive matchup. He's going to use Aerial Ace again, I suspect. He went for Shadow Ball, which does a ton of damage. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get off this second attack. No, I won't. So it'll be up to my last Pokemon, who we know is Lantern. So now I'm just going to spam this water gun to try and KO him. It does. So now I have 2 shields and he has 1 shield. The idea of running down the switch clock is just so that I can use my option of switching to another Pokemon. Okay, Uncle Maul is very familiar with the pure switch, the pure sweep strategy, because he has faced it quite a few times in battle. Also, quite a well balanced player as well. So I'm not sure if he did switch, which was a great switch on his part. Perhaps should have went for the hydro pump there. Go ahead and spam the chat if you can, if you think I could have done better. So that's round 1 going to Uncle Mao. Well played, I should say, as well. Again, I'm going to go for the pure sweep strategy. So in this case, I'm going to lock in my team again. It's essentially the same team, with is the same 3 Pokemon. We got Fortress as my lead. We got Lantern and Vigoroth in the back. So in this instance, if he were to choose to switch, I could think about switching to a different Pokemon. Excuse me. You'll probably notice at the bottom of the screen, I've also entered a somewhat iffy Pokemon in the name of Girafarig. He's quite a off-meta Pokemon to choose. I like to have him in my roster just for fun. But in this case, I decided I would show you guys the version of a pure sweep. Okay, so this is a positive matchup for me. So hopefully there's no lag and he doesn't choose to. I'm not going to block this. Again, we're going for the pure sweep strategy. Brick Break does very little damage. I suspect that might have been a shield bait move. He used the shield, which is a positive for me. Again, I'm not going to shield. Instead, I'm just going to choose to take this body slam. I doubt I'll be able to get the second heavy slam off. No, I won't. Miles away from the heavy slam. But the positive is that I did get him to use one of his shields. So Vigoroth will come out next. And we're going to try and have a race to these body slams. He does have energy built up, so of course he will have first body slam. He's gonna go for the switch into Heracross, which is a hard counter against Vigoroth. So now he's got 0 shields, and I've got 2 of mine. I'm gonna go straight into Lantern now and try and do a bit of farming. I suspect this is a bug buzz, so I'm gonna shield. Close combat, which is still a good shield. I'm now going to go into try and I'll go for the Thunderbolt, I think. As he has no shields, this will KO his Heracross, leaving me with his Vigoroth and his third Pokemon, which I have no idea is. It's Ninjas, another good positive matchup for me with one shield. So I'm going to shield this. Ninjas doesn't have any shield bait moves, but it does have fast ways of getting to those shield to this charge move, as you now see. It's not going to be enough. I'm now going to need to hit this Thunderbolt. No, I won't get to the Thunderbolt, unfortunately, which doesn't matter anyway with his Vigoroth with, I believe it was half-life, probably would have KO'd me anyway. So I'm just going to say GG to my opponent. Really well played. Again, this is just an example of one strategy that can be used in PvP Pokemon Go. I do hope you enjoyed this little demonstration of how strategies can work. Clearly, it's not going to work all the time, but there are ways you can look into it. I do hope that the information that I gave was helpful. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.